Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. We're almost halfway through the year, and so today I'm going to be doing the mid-year freakout tag, which are 13 questions to get to know a bit more the books that I've read so far this year. So first I'll start with a couple of statistics, which I have in front of me. I've read 26 books so far this year. This is actually really good for me. I don't think I've ever read that much. Interestingly, for the first 2 months of this year, I didn't read that much. There was a lockdown in the UK, so I was, stuck at home. The weather was really dark. It was a bit grim, so I wasn't really in the mood. But it picked up afterwards, so I'm actually quite surprised that I read that much. To be fair, some of them are novellas, and so that was a lot easier to read, a lot faster. And I apologize, I'm having some issues with allergies as well. So yeah, this is a good year. Okay, so I read 6 fantasy books, 8 sci-fi. 4 of them are the Murderbot Diaries, so those are the short novellas that I was talking about. And another 4 are the classics from H.G. Wells. 5 autobiographies and 6 non-fiction other than autobiographies, which seems about right because I tend to read 1 non-fiction per month, approximately, and 1 historical fiction I've read as well. So the first question is the best book I've read so far in 2021. Now, I've actually rated quite a few books 5 stars. It was a really good first 6 months. I'm gonna pick 2. I know it says only best book without an S, but I'm gonna pick 2 because the others I'll mention them in the other tags. So the first one is The Ocean at the End of the Lane, which was a massive sort of surprise for me, but in such a positive way. I hadn't really read anything from Neil Gaiman so far that I enjoyed so much, and this one was just mind-blowing, so really, really enjoyed it. And the other one that I'll pick is a nonfiction. It's Natives by Akala, which I think is a must-read for everyone, not just people living in the UK. I've made actually a review on that. It's a bit more serious, obviously, but it's a whole exploration of race and class in the UK, but also elsewhere in the world, interwoven with his own biography. So really, really good book. Can't, recommend it enough. Number 2 is best sequel you've read so far in 2021, and that has to be, hands down, Rhythm of War. This is the 4th book of the Stormlight Archive by Brandon Sanderson, and it was just magnificent. It was beautiful. I really enjoyed it, and that actually basically got me out of a reading slump a bit. After reading this one, I just went to bookstores and bought several fantasy books because I was like, oh, this is so good, I missed this so much. I guess there were a couple of other contenders. I read the 3rd book of The Wheel of Time, but I'm not as much a fan of The Wheel of Time as some other people are. I've made a whole video on that if people are interested. And I also read the first 4 books of the Murderbot Diaries, which I really enjoyed. Okay, the 3rd prompt is a new release you haven't read yet, but want to. So there are actually 2 of them. One is The Shadow of the Gods by Gwynne, which I heard was amazing, and I actually bought it, so I think I'm gonna read it, I don't know, next month or something like that, very, very soon. And the second one is Project Hail Mary. I don't read a lot of sci-fi typically, but I've heard really good things about this book, and so I do want to give it a try. Hopefully I'll get to that, before the end of the year. Number 4 is most anticipated release for the second half of the year. I don't actually have one. I'm not really good at tracking, what's coming out or what's not, unless this is a series that I have started. So I keep an eye out, for example, for Stormlight Archive to know when the 5th is going to come out, those sort of things. But at the moment, there's nothing that I have started that is expected to come out later this year, I think. There are just so many books that I want to read that are already, published, that I'm already overwhelmed by that. So, one thing at a time. Number 5 is biggest disappointment. So it's all a matter of where my expectations were to start with. And I think for that one, I have to pick The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. I have a whole review on it, and I had heard so many good things about it. It's rated really well on Goodreads. And the cover is just so beautiful, and it's fantasy, and so I really thought that I would enjoy it, and it didn't quite work for me. So yeah, I'll pick that one for this prompt. The number 6 is The Biggest Surprise. So this one, I have to pick Greenlights by Matthew McConaughey. Not sure how to pronounce his last name, but I'll put the book here. It's his autobiography, and I'm not like a massive fan of this actor, and I'm always a bit suspicious, I guess, about actors who then end up writing a book. I'm not sure how interesting it's going to be. I'm not sure about the writing style, but this one actually wrote really well. And also I listened to it on Audible, and it was narrated by Matthew himself, and it worked so well. He has this like Texan accent, you know, all right, all right, all right. And it's just so nice to just listen to him talk. And the book in itself was quite uplifting and quite, I don't know, inspiring to a certain extent. So yeah, I think I rated it 4 stars. So it's not, you know, the best book I've read this year, but it's definitely the biggest surprise. Number 7 is Favorite New Author, debut or new to me. To be fair, I have read quite a lot of new authors to me, but I will pick Martha Wells, who wrote the Murderbot Diaries, which was just so lovely. I'm a massive fan now of Murderbot, so she gets this one. Number 8 is Newest Fictional Crush. I don't really get that, so I'm gonna pass this one. Number 9 is Newest Favorite Character. So Murderbot is definitely one of them, but I will also pick Windrow from The Life Ship Trader. So I've read the first book of this trilogy, Ship of Magic. This is a trilogy written by Robin Hobb. And within this book, there is a boy who I believe is 14, and he was training to be a priest, but he ends up, you know, being on a ship for various reasons. I'll do a full review of that book later on. But he is quite intellectual and philosophical, on top of being maybe a tiny bit naive at times, but still quite brave. And I really enjoyed this sort of intellectual characters. Number 10 is Book That Made You Cry, and this one has to be Night by Elie Wiesel. Elie was a Holocaust survivor. I believe he died, it was either in 2016 or 2018, but he ended up spending time in Auschwitz, and Night is basically his memoir of his time at Auschwitz. I believe it is followed by 2 other biographies, Dawn and Day, but I've only read Night. But Night was so brutal. It was very raw, like no filters, and he dives into obviously the physical trauma, but also the psychological trauma of being in Auschwitz. And in particular, he was there with his father, and he basically explores some of the psychological trauma around not being able to help your loved one because you have to think about your own survival, which, you know, is the most horrible situation you can be in. So it's quite a short book, but I just finished a book and was just in shock. And yeah, I cried several times during the whole book, but I would highly recommend it. It's a really, really good book. Number 11 is Book That Made You Happy. So Murderbot Diaries made me really happy. So I'm gonna pick this one. I'm also going to pick The Ocean at the End of the Lane. And this one, I've heard some people saying that it was a bit sad. And for me, it was just so beautiful that it was quite uplifting. I think it's a sort of homage at all the beauty in the world that we might not fully appreciate, but that, you know, a kid can appreciate or is at least open to. So yeah, I don't know, I left the book feeling very happy and uplifted and inspired. I don't know. Number 12 is the most beautiful book you've bought this year. And this has to be Skyward by Aliya Whiteley. I haven't read it yet. I received it as part of my Chronicle box subscription of fantasy and sci-fi, which is a box that I receive every quarter, so every 3 months. And this one looks beautiful. I really like the cover. Yeah. And number 13 is what books do you need to read by the end of the year? So there are no books that I need to read. I'm a mood reader, so I'll pick up whatever I feel like it. But I would say The Shadow of the Gods is definitely one that I will pick up very soon. I also want to finish The Life-Ship Trader, which I have started and really enjoyed. And I would like to get to Joe Abercrombie and read his First Law trilogy. I've never read any grimdark fantasy, and I'm really intrigued because I'm hearing such good things about Abercrombie in particular. So one of my friends has the book, so I might pick it up from him and give it a try before the end of this year. That's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe or leave a comment. Let me know what you've been reading, whether there's a book that you really enjoyed, and I might give it a try. And I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.